everybody, welcome back to another podcast, AMA style. We have the pleasure today to have Pulley Token with us. So we're going to get into some details about their project. But before we do that, we have Shane with us, that is one of the founders. Is that correct, Shane, of the Pulley project?
Actually, I would be the chief marketing officer. I'm not one of the founders, but I've been here for a couple of months now with them.
Perfect. So that brings us right into, if you want to give us a little bit about your background and how you got into Pulley and kind of your experience in the crypto space.
Sure. Sounds good. Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming to the AMA today. My name is Shane, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for Pulley Token. Pulley Token is a Binance smart chain cryptocurrency, but what it really is it's a Web3 game studio. Pulley has mobile games that you can play right now. They're available in the App Store, and what you can do is with these games, by earning points, you can redeem these points and collect Pulley Token. And the Pulley Token itself is the central economy hub for the Pulley Web3 Game Studio. So right now, we've got a game out that you could download called PULI Runner. And PULI Runner is a classic arcade-style runner game where you accumulate points over distance, and you can use those points over time to trade for Pulley Token. And that's cool. But we've got other games coming too, because a game studio doesn't just make one game. So we've got another game right now that's in testing called Pulley Astro. It's an arcade-style space shooter. And the game we're really looking forward to, I think, at least personally, because as a gamer, I enjoy RPGs, is one called Pulley Degens. And this one's probably coming a lot later this year because it's a more intense style of game. So if you're into Binance Smart Chain tokens, that's usually a cool thing to be into, but they've got a bad reputation. Pulley is different. We've got a whole backpack full of check marks and verifications and stuff, but the real key to Pulley is the leadership team and the KYCs and things that we've done to make sure that we're trustworthy. And that starts with our CEO, who could not be here today. He sends his apologies, but he was not able to make it today. His name is Christopher Johnson. He goes by Mr. Lightspeed, and he is the founder of Lightspeed Crypto Services, which is the parent company that governs everything related to Pulley. And Chris is a military veteran and a leader in the truest sense, with a doctorate in leadership. And he normally doesn't like it when I brag about stuff like this, but he's overly qualified to be working in the BSC space in crypto. And that's why we're so fortunate to have him. And what we've got is a core group of people based on this trust that have built a team that Binance Smart Chain normally doesn't deal with. So what we are is a game studio, but what we have is cryptocurrency related to gaming. So if you're into mobile gaming, and if you think that you're into arcade style games and stuff like that, we're probably something you should look at. And the key to the system is our Pulley NFTs. NFTs are something that are really, really hot, probably a little too hot right now, but the utility is the key, right? So by having a Pulley NFT, that's how you get access to higher tiers in these games. That's how you get higher reward structures, more power-ups, more access. So if you're into Binance Smart Chain tokens and NFTs and video games and stuff like that, you should probably check out pulleytoken.net, which is the website that David has pulled up for me right now. So my name is Shane, and my background has been crypto for a year and a half, and I'm kind of a marketing specialist. I've been doing Twitter spaces for as long as Twitter's had spaces. I've been doing AMAs, and I've represented a couple of other cryptos in the past, but I've settled with Pulley because, like I said, the trust factor that this team has, it brought me in, and getting a chance to work at an executive level with people that really know what they're doing has been really cool for me personally. So my background is all over the place with crypto. I've been here like a year and a half, but Pulley is my newest thing, and I hope you guys are willing to take a look and make it your thing too. Thank you.
No, that's all awesome, Shane. You kind of jump right into the project, so I'm hoping I can get you to say some of that stuff again. And let's go into a little more detail and everything.
I will absolutely.
But it's great to hear that you've been in the space for at least a year and a half, because a lot of people come into the space and they get into it, they see all these other projects making a little bit of money and headway and everything, and everybody thinks that they need a project and everything. I'm actually familiar with the doctor Lightspeed over there. I've heard his name come up several times. I've been in the space also for a very long time. Come August will be 13 years. So I know a lot of people in and out of the space and have heard of some of these names as well. So I'm really interested in looking at your project and some of the details behind it. So are there other people on the team? Can you give us a little broader definition? I'm assuming it's more than just you and Mr. Lightspeed.
Sure.
I know that I did see one other person that was on the website as one of the core team members. Do you want to give us a little bit about her background as well?
Sure. And I'm actually I'm on the website there with you surfing around too. So I'm going to pull it up and make sure that I'm not wrong. But what we've got is a pretty cool structure for our team. There's a core team of us. The website mentions Christopher Johnson, the RCO, Mr. Lightspeed, and then Timo and Misha were the ones that were here when I got here. Now, when I first came into the team, I was originally brought on as a Twitter lead because underneath the core structure, there's like a substructure of staff members, and then we have a whole group of moderators and stuff like that, and then volunteer moderators, as you can imagine, with Mr. Lightspeed's military background, structure and rank and order are important. So it helps keep everybody in lockstep. So over the month that I worked as the Twitter lead and due to some team changes, I was allowed to come up to the chief marketing officer position, which is a core position. So the 5 of us that make up the core would be Mr. Lightspeed, Christopher, Timo, and Misha, myself, Shane, and then another gentleman that goes by the name of Zimster. Zimster is our community lead. He handles everything from the top down, from Discord to Telegram, Facebook. He keeps all the other moderators and staff in March with what we do. So the core structure would be those 5. But below that, we have about 26 people in our staff chat. And that represents everything from Discord leads to design and graphics leads, video design, YouTube leads. Our YouTube channel, if you haven't been there yet, is fantastic. Alexander, that does our YouTube channel, does legendary news and updates for us and stuff like that. So our Discord team, we've got 3 or 4 people that really work hard over there. And Discord is huge in gaming. I don't know if you guys are gamers, but we're making a huge shift to make sure that the Discord is similar to what other gaming communities have, because you have to really roll out that Discord for gamers and NFTs. There's a lot of people, and if I started naming more people, I'd probably leave people out, so I don't want to make anybody feel bad, but the team page doesn't fully display the probably 50 or 60 people, and then the subcontractors and affiliates that we work with that help us promote and build and design games. One of our game designers, for instance, Amir, that has done all of the Pulley Runner, the bulk of Pulley Runner, or the team working on Astro. We actually have a whole nother team working on Degens. So the design teams, the gaming teams, there's a lot of people here, man. A lot of moving parts to make video games happen,
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like you guys are putting together a great group of people and everything to build out a team. And it looks like you guys are building out an entire ecosystem. You guys are more than just a game and a meme token. So tell us a little bit about the project, how it was thought of. How did you guys get into the space and everything, being in the gaming industry or the gaming side of crypto? And then tell us a little bit more about the games that are out right now and a little bit about the roadmap of stuff to come.
Sure. This is actually a humanizing story. Sometimes you would want an origin story that went a certain way, but this is a good question to ask because, like I said, I'm not a founding member of the team, and neither was Mr. Lightspeed. Mr. Lightspeed was also an early investor in the Pulley token, because even the idea that now we're referencing it as a meme token is something we've been trying to get away from. The origin of Pulley token was Pulley Inu, and it had a very different look and feel back then, everybody. It had a silly little dog logo that was kind of hard to distinguish, and we still love our history, but it was kind of weird, and it was started by some people that really didn't know how to run a business, and it might not have had like the best intentions. So when Chris got here, this was before I got here because I've known Chris for at least a year. Chris bought in as an early investor, and when the project started having problems, as I'm sure you guys know this, as a project builds market cap and builds liquidity, there's like a certain amount of pressure that as you're starting to handle people's money, sometimes these core teams break down because they don't know what they're doing, and sometimes that's how rugs happen. So Pulley was under an immense amount of pressure, and Mr. Lightspeed and some other people stepped up into a leadership role, which I can name a lot of tokens that you've probably heard this story about, and they kind of took over. And when Chris started revealing his personality, he was quickly asked to take a leadership position. And it was about that time that when he took over and I realized that he was in charge, that I trusted him so much before even Pulley token. I just know the guy, that I came over here and started looking at it. So it's kind of a neat story because we didn't start with like, we're going to be the best gaming token and we have the most sincere roots. It was kind of like a rough and tumble start. And the original developer is not here anymore. We've got the contract. It's gone a multi-sig. All of that's under control. But the original story is kind of rough. But what it is now, that's actually the cool part. It's like a resurrection story. Everybody likes a comeback story, right? So it's like everything started off rough and we got like sand kicked in our face. But then there's like a training montage of like CerTic audit and like YouTube channels and like getting verified and BSC scan. It's like a training montage. And now like the token comes back and he's like, all right, let's fight, because I've got like a good logo now. And we've got companies and businesses and games. The origin story, I think, is kind of neat if you lay it out that way. That's my way of thinking about it.
No, absolutely. I did see that used to be formerly Pulley NU, and then now to see where it was then, because I did go back and check. There's tons of sites out there that you can go back and see what things were like before, to see where you guys have come to date with it and everything. Excuse me. So I commend you guys for where it started in the origin story to where it is now. Can you give us a little bit of detail about kind of the game theory behind it and what you guys are doing? Is because I know there's one game out. I'm sorry to say I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but I've heard some of the other people that are investors into the Pulley token that have played it and they love it, and that's able to be downloaded from the iOS and the Android store. Is that correct?
That's correct. And you can imagine that the Android store was like the Wild West. It was like they just opened the door and let us in there, and it was easy. But getting onto Apple, I think the story is that it took like 18 different application submissions and revisions to get past Apple. And the way that we've talked about PULI Runner, which is the game that we have out right now, is that it's kind of like the gate smasher. Like, you know, it had to go through all of the hurdles that all of our future games probably won't have to go through, because of what we learned from those multiple submissions through Apple. Is like, obviously Android's going to let things on very fast and loose, and if you've got problems, they don't really care about it. But Apple is more interested in protecting their user experience, because they don't want to be known for letting things on their game. Another tip would be that Apple wants a cut of the pie. Like, sometimes you put these things on the App Store and they're going to come back and say, hey, how are we making money on this? You know, and you have to, well, I didn't think about that. Let me figure that out. Like, it was interesting with PULI Runner, because it's a basic arcade style game. You know, it's one of those don't reinvent the wheel philosophies. We just need a simple concept to prove we know what we're doing. It's got really crisp graphics, great gameplay, and it's a great proof of concept for what we are capable of doing. And then the idea would be, with something like this, between you and me and the millions of people listening, so don't tell anybody, something like this is what you use to shop to VCs when you want venture capital money. When you're trying to impress people on a larger level, you need to be able to produce a minimum viable product. And PULI Runner is our MVP. It's minimum viable product and most valuable player at this point, because you can download it right now for free, and it's not a game that you earn crypto while you play, right? Apple wouldn't allow that. What you do is you earn points, and then these points are redeemable for PULI token. And then that's a big deal, because they don't want you to be able to earn crypto right on the phone. They're not into that. So we had to learn everything with PULI Runner that now PULI Astro will benefit from. And then when we have PULI Degens ready to go, the crispness that we've had to go through with Runner will show through. So if you haven't downloaded PULI Runner from your Apple iOS store or your Google Play store, it's free. It's there. Just search PULI. It'll be like one of the only things that comes up, and give it a shot. And then if you have an NFT connected, that's how you actually play to earn. If you want to be able to earn tokens and have those power-ups really benefit you, you'll have to check into the NFTs, which is mint.pulitoken.net. We'll cover that too.
Yeah, so as a potential investor and as a user, if I download the game, obviously I know all about iOS and developing on there. I've been developing on there for years and everything. And you're absolutely right. They don't like the crypto aspect. They don't like you being able to accept payments and everything without using their APIs and everything. I totally understand that. So I understand how you would earn points. So it's still a PDE ecosystem, but in this case, you're earning the points, and I'm assuming that you have a way for them to come and exchange those points for a crypto token. In this case, would be PULI. Is that correct?
Correct. And right now it's very simple, because the amount of daily claims we have is manageable by a single person, but it's easily manageable through the game. There's a way that you will go to a website and just submit your claim. I think the maximum right now, somebody calculated, is like $18 a day and change at some point, give or take whatever the price was when they did that calculation. But there's only a couple of people that are really dedicated to doing it in that fashion. So we don't have a lot of daily claims right now, but eventually that becomes automated. That'll become something that there's like a website that is, submit your claim, and it'll be a completely automated process. Or then the goal, like a future roadmap thing that we've talked about, which is kind of a reveal here. Some people know about this, but would be to maybe instead of doing that, just change your points for merch or change your points for something else that completely eliminates the need for us to interact with you in terms of even giving you the crypto, because the points are just a ticket. They're a placeholder, so they could be used for anything. In particular, if you had an ecosystem where people wanted to participate, you could use those points for crypto or anything else. So right now it's simple because of that. It's crypto but not kind of way that we've done it.
So it's safe to say that there is a marketplace coming in the future that's not quite ready yet, but for
Yeah.
merch and all of those things, is that
Yeah,
fair
I don't
to
want
say?
to. I don't want to throw them under the bus and make them develop like a whole marketplace, but that's got to be
Right.
eventually. There's a way, even if we're not using Pulley Token, using Pulley Token to buy merch would be pretty cool too, because there are going to be some people that would love to be able to do that. But even the idea that we have a system for repeated points generation, what is money but time in a digital form? And if people have points that represent the time they spent playing our game, I feel like they should be able to turn those in for something at some point. That's me, but the development team can probably easily make something like that happen if we decide that's where we want to go.
Absolutely stunning. Yeah, I appreciate that answer, by the way, because there's a lot of projects out there that want to sell merch and bring in outside funds and everything, and it really doesn't do anything good for the underlying token itself as the
No,
native
what are we going to
asset.
make? We going to make $6 on a T-shirt and add that to liquidity?
Right, absolutely. That
Yeah.
doesn't create a lot of volume. You have to sell a
No.
lot of T-shirts to create that much volume.
No, but if they had these points from a game that they just couldn't put down, and then they wanted to wear our billboard around their town locally, that's why am I charging them for that? That sounds like a good deal.
Absolutely. So again, I commend you guys for some of the stuff that you guys are putting in place and kind of the forethought. Again, like a marketplace where they can exchange those points for real world assets. So I think that brings a unique ability to your ecosystem. Can you tell us a little bit about the tokenomics behind Pulley? It looks like there is a 10% buy and sell tax, but there's no transfer fee. Is that correct?
Correct. And again, that's on the website. If you want to scroll down, it should be down there a little bit below it. It's got a little cool arrow next to it. It's pretty simple. It's the 10% buy, 9% sell tax on it. And we have an aggressive tax towards the team and towards liquidity. So it's not like a reflection or a burn thing where you're getting a lot of that. And I say that out loud because sometimes I think teams are afraid to say that the tokenomics go to the team, but we got a lot of people to pay, man. We got 26 people on staff, and each one of them is a hardworking professional with a day job. And for us to ask for their time, if we want quality work that demands quality pay for a lot of this stuff. So the tokenomics are designed to ensure that we're able to keep the people that we need to keep, and that we're able to keep the liquidity, which if you look, which we don't need to go into pulling up a chart, but we have a fantastic liquidity ratio, which is something that another Binance Smart Chain flaw a lot of times is your token sniffer tests will tell you that the liquidity ratio is off, or the market cap's too high for the liquidity. But Pulley's liquidity, because of the volume that we have and the way that the taxes are set up, it's got a pretty solid liquidity base too. So 10% buy, 9% tax, and no taxes on transfers. And the taxes on transfers is primarily because we have the staking pools open. We use RBX for staking, and to go to and from those staking pools, to incur a tax on either side of that would just be ridiculous to our holders. So RBX has staking pools, and they offer staking options for any project. So since we use them, we want to be able to go back and forth from those pools for whatever options they give us.
Yeah, that makes it very, very efficient. I did actually look at your chart, and I did go look at your liquidity. It looks like you guys have almost 20% there, and your market cap is backed by or your market cap is backed by 20%, but it's a 10% backed by liquidity, which is amazing. A lot of projects struggle to even get a few percent in there. So that is awesome to see in a project like yours. That is actually truly backed by what it says it is, and having that much of the liquidity backed by the or the market cap backed by the liquidity. So again, another commendable thing. Again, not financial advice for any of those people that are listening, but this is a solid project. I've taken the time to go through a lot of their stuff. We probably won't get a chance to go into to today. but a lot of the things that they're doing and moving forward from just a project standpoint, and as another project developer myself and creator and CEO and running a project, looking at these things and the things that this team has put into place, I commend them for that. And I think it's well worth the time to listen to these AMAs and to look further into the Pulley token. Right now, what is your chart at right now? I think it's right around 2 cents. What was your all-time high?
Somewhere up around 14 cents, I think, like 2 months ago, maybe back right before the floor fell out from everything.
Right.
And it was a combination of a couple of factors. We had, you guys know, the buy the rumor, sell the news. We're not talking to a bunch of amateurs in here. So one of the things that caused that all-time high, I think, was a lot of the hype leading up to our NFT mint, because there was like this unknown, and I'm saying this as like an investor and not as the CMO, because the earlier you go back, the earlier I was here. So this is like the stuff I'm probably not supposed to say. But the hype leading up to that NFT mint brought a lot of people that were not actually going to buy NFTs. You know what I mean? They were buying the tokens because they knew people were going to need or want these NFTs because they were going to be long-term holders. So I think that run-up was a combination of market factors. And I would say it was kind of an artificial all-time high. I mean, it was our all-time high, but there was no way we were going to stay there. If you look at the charts and do some like TA, we were too far on the average for too long. For some of that stuff. So 14 was a bit high. 2 cents is a bit too low, but the market's been crap. And I don't want to do like price speculation or anything like that, but 2 cents it's been funny because we have a pretty solid group of people now that are there, and we're getting new people that come in, but they're coming in because of the new advertising, which is NFTs, and we're not marketing with shillers and we're not doing that stuff. So this 2 to 4 cents, I think lately, I think the highest we got might've been like 3 cents. It's just funny when everybody's down like this, you see who's sticking around. So yeah, we're down. It was from 14 back to 2, I think is where it's been.
Yeah, it looks like 2's kind of your stable price floor.
Yeah.
And I think that's safe to say that 2, and it looks like you guys jump around from 2 to 4, up and down, up and down, up and down. Going forward, especially as the marketing guy, what are you personally doing in the background and everything as a marketing concept to help move this along to get more people mass adoption into your ecosystem?
That's a great question, because this is one of the things that I don't even feel like I do a good enough job of telling our community that type of stuff. So this would be the clip that I gave to the Pulley community, right? The real secret sauce is how much work we're putting into targeting gaming companies, gamers, and eventually what's going to be like Twitch streamers and stuff like that. There's got to be an entire priority shift in order for this gaming company to stop looking like a meme token. Because even here in this instance, not that you've done anything wrong, but we still get called meme token. And like you pointed out, we still have Inu in some places because it's hard to get these things changed, but that's not who we are. Like we grew a little mustache and we're getting ready to go to college, mom, and we're grown up. So we're trying to figure out how to get people to understand that the marketing shift is not just like, how are we going to get people to buy the token again? I had a great conversation. We have a whale group, which is like a subgroup of the main Pulley Telegram, where over a certain amount of Pulley holdings or NFTs will get you access to the whale group. And we had this discussion about this monumental shift between what it takes to get people to want to buy your token. Like, we can't use advertisers that sell Pulley token, because you're going to only get people that want to sell Pulley token at some point. And what we're trying to do is find people that want to play fun games and they don't hate NFTs like most gamers. So how do we target those people? We did like a drill where we, what's your bullseye customer is what I kind of went through with them. Tell me the exact person you're trying to target, and then we'll make media to target that person. And for me, I think that person is someone who likes to play throwback arcade style mobile phone games, but also enjoys the future of Web3 connectivity. And how do I market to that person? None of the traditional ways. So I feel like we're getting a lot of confusion. Like, why aren't we seeing Twitter shillers? Why aren't we seeing call groups? And the answer is because that's not going to work. That's not how Epic Games works. That's not how Fortnite was promoted. That's not how, EA Games gets their product out there. So if we're competing, I tell people we're not competing with Baby Doge or Floki. We're competing with EA Games and Activision. And how does that look? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, another commendable act, because a lot of people about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and even almost up to 3 years ago, these call groups kind of came into the picture, and they were just huge outlets for pump and dump of tokens, right? People would come in there, they would hype it all up, and they would just get pumped and dumped, and then that project was gone. And that's why 90% of the projects that we've seen at the last bear market aren't in this, didn't come through to the bull market. And then now that we're in another bearish market, I would say that 90% of what you see out there today will not be here in the next one. It'll be a whole nother group of projects, right?
Yep. And some of the worst part is some of those call groups actually ended up doing that to legitimate projects that they just didn't know the kind of investor that they were attracting. I've had these conversations with people about, like, who have you been marketing to? And that's your community. Like, think about what you've been selling. And if you've been selling the idea of quick money or future wealth or something like that, then you're only going to get people that are focused on the outcome you've been promising. So you've got to make a huge shift to try and attract the people that are not going to leave soon. And I don't mean diamond hands. You'll never, by the way, this is from me. I don't know about, I don't know how much of a control I have over all of the pulley marketing realistically. You know what I mean? But you'll never see anything that I put out use the phrase diamond hands. I absolutely hate it. Diamond hands can be toxic to me because the kind of holder I'm looking for is smart, not just diamond handed by default. You need to find people that know your project. Like, how are you going to talk to a group of shareholders, not just token holders, but like long-term people? So that's, yeah, it's a total different shift. Call groups won't do that.
Yeah, so I'll give you guys a little bit of insight and everything. The whole word hodl and diamond hand was made up by good investors like myself back in the day to get everybody else to hold so we could always sell at the top. You will never ever in our project
Yep.
as well, or in our ecosystem, hear us telling you to be a diamond hand or a hodler and all of that stuff. Because again, that was just made up for people to sit there and hodl while we took profits. If you're going to be an investor in today's market, you have to learn to be an investor. And there are tons of outlets out there to be able to learn that. There's projects out there that are really focused on that. So yeah, it almost irritates me every time I hear, oh, I'm a diamond hand or I'm a hodler. You should be taking profits, right? And I'm assuming that you guys encourage your community investors as they're going to be able to take these profits and to be able to use your token inside the ecosystem for them to be rewarded for being part of the ecosystem and for believing in you guys from the beginning and being part of a great project.
Yes, we do.
And that's awesome. And that's the way it should be, right? Because all of us got into crypto for one reason. We didn't get into crypto just to set money to the side and just hold on to it forever. We got into crypto to make money at some point. And that's what these projects are supposed to be about when you start talking about good, legitimate projects.
Right. And I like that you just basically said the quiet thing out loud. You're one of the few people I've heard be willing to say like some of the things that normally would get you a lot of flack for saying that. So kudos to you for saying that. But what you need ideally, like, that this is not financial advice and this is not even pulley advice, but like the dream for me would be finding a project that had such a sustainable revenue that they could be continually adding to a non-Ponzi staking pool in a way that my slightly whalish looking bag might allow me to just use the reflections or the staking pool rewards and stuff like that. Like I'm not trying to sell a whole bag or anything, but I'd like to find a project that had a sustainability loop that allowed people to just slowly exit and the token itself had a whole nother life of its own, like that it lived inside of that gaming ecosystem, like the way that Robux do, and you can just pass through it rather than worry about doing harm in it.
Absolutely. And that's the way projects should be designed. And utility projects that have that mindset as their end goal for people are the projects that are going to succeed long term in this space, right? A lot of the ones that aren't bringing that into their ecosystem, because you should be able to have a sustainable ecosystem where people can take profits and be able to sustain themselves and it doesn't hurt the project, right? Because again, if projects aren't able to start taking or people within inside of that project that invested aren't able to take profits, what are they doing there, right? They can believe all they want to, but at the end of the day, they came for a couple of other reasons as well. Even though they want to be a supporter, and especially of the games and everything and that ecosystem, they're also there and they invest that money. If not, they would have just went out and purchased the game, right? And then just set it off to the sideline and played their game. There are going to be some people that got smacked around by this bear market that are going to learn that same lesson that you just said, because I'm sure you learned that lesson the hard way like everyone else, that there was a point
like they're looking back now like, man, that 14 cents, I should have maybe looked at those charts. I need to learn how to read these charts a little bit better. And I could have maybe just made a more well-informed decision about, what I'm doing and stuff like that. So yeah, how do you teach a community to responsibly manage their stuff, man? That's next level crypto, right?
Right, exactly. Which is, I'll do one plug real quick. That is why we have the courses on the Blockstar ecosystem. On the courses, we do have the e-learning for blockchain and money and game theory and how to NFT and how to DeFi. So I encourage you guys to check those out when you do get a chance. But one other thing, we want to build strategic investors, right? People that know how to strategically take profits and not just dump on a project, because that doesn't help anybody and you're taking less money in that ecosystem. So I also commend you as well for coming on and saying some of those things, because again, it does kind of get you shunned from all the a lot of projects and communities when you start talking about taking profits all the way up, right?
Yep.
So a lot of people don't like to talk about it. It's kind of a negative conversation, especially in the meme world, right? Which is
Yep.
why I love bringing on projects that are away from the meme community, that are really building something, even if that's where their origin starts at, and they really try to become legitimate. Another project like that is Feg. They're actually trying to go away from that whole meme culture and really bring sustainability to their project and to continue it, to bring it more into a legitimate look and professional ecosystem as well. Um, the NFTs. So I do have a few questions about that. What purpose does the NFTs bring into your ecosystem, and what are the rewards behind purchasing those NFTs as part of a collection?
So the basic functionality, right, like of an NFT, is that it can act as a systems check to say that you have access to something like a key. So the basic is it's a token that's going to tell these games that you should be allowed to have access to higher tiers for reward structures or more frequent token drops or power ups or stuff like that. What we've chose to represent these NFTs are these adorable 3D dogs. Those are Pulley Dogs. The Pulley Dog is actually a breed of dog. It's an Austrian Pulley Dog, and it's got these long dreadlock looking hairs and stuff. So that's our mascot in the game. And when you own a Pulley NFT and you connect the wallet containing the NFT to your games, that avatar will play for you. So instead of using our default skin, one of those NFTs becomes your avatar in the game. So you will be running with your own avatar that represents you in the game. And depending on which avatar you have and rarities, the game is going to unlock more frequent power-ups or higher levels of, we have what we call fortune cookies. There are fortune cookies in the game that drop, and as you pick up the fortune cookie, it has random token rewards or points rewards. I keep saying token, I mean points. You get random points rewards. So by holding the NFT, you're going to get these higher frequencies of drops, and that's not just true for PULI Runner. When you play Astro, it's also an integrated utility. When we get to PULI Degens, it's also going to be an integrated utility. So despite the name PULI Runner, it's not going to be just limited to the game. And that's a message that we're going to start getting out more often because you can't change the name of a collection once it's already launched and stuff like that. But it's going to be a utility for all these games. So if you invest right now, while Ethereum is cheap and you get yourself a PULI Runner, you don't have to worry that Astro and Degens are also going to have separate NFTs that you have to buy. There might be something, and I literally have never heard anybody in the team say this, but I'm just going to throw this out there. There might be like a second NFT that unlocks something else, but the Pulley Runners themselves will always have some sort of integrated game function to unlock additionals. So holding that runner in your wallet not only looks cool, but you get to use it in the games as a utility unlock. And right now, luckily, the website you've got pulled up right there, the prices aren't that high. You're not going to have to pay that much. Right now, the mint is actually still open. And if you wanted to get one of them from the mint, it's only 0.07 ETH. I told the designer when they made that image for the website, I said, I absolutely love the numbers you chose. And they laughed and they're like, why? I'm like, oh, no reason. It's just, I love your optimism in design. I thought that was nice. So it's not that much. When you see it on the website, it's actually still open at the mint at mint price. So 0.07 ETH gets you a runner and you can connect to the game. You can check it out yourself at mint.pulitoken.net.
So I'm assuming these have, like you said, different rarities, and they also have different attributes as well.
Yep. I mean, it's not, there's we got 2,000 of them altogether. And there's things of different rarity. Like for instance, the one that you're looking at on your screen that has the multicolored background is very likely an animated NFT. Some of them have animated backgrounds. So that one is probably, if you were looking at it in your Web3 wallet, an animated background, whereas the one next to it with the pirate hat is probably static background. Those small changes, and then of course the attire of the hats and stuff like that. There's different things. They're rare for those reasons.
Right. I'm assuming there's also a secondary market that these are potentially on as well, like OpenSea or Rareables or something like that.
They are. There are some people have chose to list them on OpenSea. We've also done a lot of peer-to-peer because, as you can imagine, the time frame between when we launched and now, there have been a lot of people that found themselves in a position where maybe that liquidity would be used elsewhere, is a nice way to say that, right? So even within the community, we've had a pretty solid experience of doing P2P NFT sales and stuff like that, just because going to the trouble, some of these instances of trying to even list it on OpenSea, these people bought these NFTs with no experience. I don't know if you guys have been part of a lot of these like early NFT launches, particularly on BSC, but trying to get our BSC community ready for an Ethereum NFT launch, no one was ready for that. And that was a bridge that people were not ready to cross. So now getting people who want to sell it to the place where they could, it's been easier to help do P2P in some instances. So there is a secondary market, but the mint is open right now. So if anybody's buying them for anything more than mint price, I don't know. I don't know why. I'm being embarrassed about my own NFT collection, but right now the mint is open. Just go mint your own, or unless there's one you really want and you know who has it, that'd be the best way to find it.
Right. Absolutely. So as a newbie, let's say I'm a newbie and everything, just getting into the Pulley ecosystem. I just downloaded the app. I want to play the game, but now I know that you have NFTs that may give me different advantages in the game. So I would go and I would mint my NFT in the app. I'm assuming there's some type of Web3 connection that'll actually show my NFT when I connect it.
So, and I'm going to backtrack that just because you and I are in a position where we probably forget what it means to be a newbie. So like when you say I connect to the game and stuff like that, let's assume someone was able to go through, because that means they know how to like get a MetaMask and buy an NFT and stuff. It'll be super easy if you already know how to buy an NFT. Going into the game, there's just going to be if you've never connected before, it's going to say log in. And when you log in, there's an area that's going to say enter your wallet. When you enter your wallet address, which in this case would be the MetaMask or whatever you minted the NFT to, it'll just immediately connect you through the blockchain. And the only blockchain connectivity in the Pulley Runner game, and this, we talked about this earlier, because there's no crypto in the game. What we do, and the reason we can say that Pulley Runner is a blockchain game, is because it does verify through blockchain. It uses that Oracle connection to look at your NFT, and you have an in-game options menu that shows you your NFTs and allows you to switch and choose which one or showcase your NFTs. So it is connected through a very simple interface because, like you said, we need to assume the lowest possible user level of experience on this type of thing. But if you are already the kind of person that can get through the buying an NFT process, whoo boy, is getting connected easy.
Absolutely. So with that in mind, assuming that I don't want anything to do with crypto, but I hear that people are buying these NFTs and I have no desire to buy, but I'm playing the game and I'm earning these points. In the future, will there be the ability to exchange points for these NFTs directly inside the game, since it wouldn't necessarily be related to crypto?
That would be cool. That would be more likely to be something that was done over the marketplace to avoid having Apple's scrutiny or anything like that. But having the same way that any other points catalog, like you just save all the pop tops from, a General Mills cereal or whatever, and eventually you can get a camping tent or an SUV. I suppose we could put whatever we want in the marketplace, be it, a Pulley hoodie or an NFT or a prize pack of things like that. So yeah, there's absolutely no reason not to do something like that. And the benefit, by the way, for NFT players, here's going to be the huge benefit, because if while you've been listening to this, you went out and downloaded the game and you don't have an NFT yet, you've probably been punched in the face by at least one ad by now if you've been playing along. Those ads disappear if you have an NFT. The ads are a double-edged sword because we don't want you to have to deal with ads. So if you buy an NFT, obviously we're going to take the ads away. But if you don't have an NFT, every time you watch an ad, we're generating ad revenue for the sustaining of the project, and that ad revenue is fed back to us and through a PayPal on-ramp through one of our partners, immediately deposited back into the project in liquidity and to other forms of token buybacks and stuff like that. So for those of you with NFTs, you don't have to suffer ads, but for those of you that are getting ads, at least you know you're helping the project.
Right, exactly, and that's a great way to bring in a new utility and everything. If they don't want to see ads, all they have to do is go and purchase one of the NFTs. So to kind of backtrack a little bit, going back to that, that you guys take in from advertising and all that, plus you have the tax on the token, and a lot of that goes into the development and being able to pay payroll. In the contract, so does that go directly? It accumulates that tax and then it sells the token, or does it take the B ahead of time?
Good question. Great question. So you have been doing crypto for a long time. So contract sells. How do you avoid having that piece of crap giant contract sell right in the middle of a series of green candles, or when the market is not doing well, and then a series of small buys comes in, and then you just get decimated by an automated contract sell? That's always a bad time, right? So one thing that we've done to get around that, because that is exactly that, we do deal with that. That is part of our contract, and we do have contract sells. I forget how big the trigger is, but I think it ends up being like 1 or 1.5 BNB. And sometimes that hurts, and sometimes you barely notice it, right, when things are going well. We do have a listing on Everswap from Everrise. Everrise is one of our partners, and when you are listed on Everswap, purchases and sells through Everswap do not trigger contract sells, because the Everswap protocol automatically transfers what would have been Pulley that was sent to the contract into BNB, and sends the BNB directly to the wallet that would have received the Pulley sale. I think I said that right. If not, the guys at Everrise are going to eat me alive. I'm pretty sure that's exactly how that works. Everswap alleviates contract sell pressure by directly paying the developer wallet what would have been contract sale money.
Yep. You're absolutely correct the way you said that. So it's just nice to be able to hear the project explained instead of me having to explain it. But you said that exactly right. So
now you make me laugh. That's funny.
So I'm assuming that you encourage your community and anybody listening to this is to use the Everrise ecosystem to be able to.
It is, but that's so hard. You know how familiar people are. They don't change to save their own lives often, and to get people to stop going to PancakeSwap. We've got so many great partners. We've got more dexes that I'm gonna have to take off my shoes to count how many cool partners we have. But since we're an hour in, I will do some shout outs if that's okay. Not only are we partnered with Everswap, Everrise and Everswap, because they alleviate contract sell pressure. Love them. PancakeSwap, because they're the OGs, and nobody ever says thanks to PancakeSwap, but they're a company too. We appreciate PancakeSwap. We're also partnered with RBX. I mentioned RBX does our staking, but RBX.AE and the swap, the DEX that RBX has some of the absolute lowest gas fees, and they have some of the fastest transactions if you're into aping into projects and stuff. We have a listing over there with them. We have a listing on Radio Shack. Everybody knows Radio Shack is hot on Twitter right now because they've absolutely lost their minds. But we recently listed with them too, because we're kind of crazy, and we thought that what they're doing is just unconventional, and I like Radio Shack. So DEX partners are cool, but when you've got that many DEXs, how do you convince people to shop at any one DEX? It's hard, because each one of those partners, they want us to put as much pressure on our community as possible to use their software, and it's hard because they're all beneficial, and sometimes people just don't change. So like, we've got people from the RBX community, like that's how they found us, and they will only ever do transactions at RBX, and that's totally fine. And the Everrise people that came over, that's where they do their business. So that's something we've wrestled with for a while, because you're right. It's maybe better in some instances to direct them to Everswap for those contract sales, but you just can't really get people to change their mind.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I guess I didn't realize you guys were on so many dexes, which is a good thing, because you're getting more eyes on the project, and you're giving your community options, right?
Yep.
When you limit people to one, well, they don't necessarily know that there's other options out there. So again, it gives you more eyes on the project. So on some of them, I'm assuming you're going to have some contract sales, but on others, you won't have the contract sales, like on Everswap. And I'm assuming in the future, is there any plans to do that directly in your own contract, or will you just continue to have the version that you have now? Because just to be fair, a lot of projects that did have that capability and everything, where it was just accumulating and then sell, they just changed their contract. But a lot of communities don't necessarily like the being able to migrate to a V2. They just want to stick with what they know.
I've had less than stellar experiences personally with a few migrations, and I'm sure I'm not the only one listening that has had that. I've got V2 PTSD. I don't know if that's a thing that's been diagnosed yet, but that idea that we would go through a swap, we haven't. I don't want to say that we've discussed it because then people are going to be like, "Oh, they're talking about it." But obviously, at some point, we've discussed having a V2, and it just doesn't make sense right now because things are going super well. And I think a lot of times, and this is me speaking as a business developer. And I know I'm the marketer at Pulley, but I've done some biz dev in other places and stuff. People get bored, man. And they just need to see you do anything. So sometimes it's like they just get this itch they need to scratch. And I feel like nitpicking at the contract because the market is down is something I've seen other projects do, and they just get like V2 fever and they think, oh, if we could just, launch a new contract and get a new chart, that would just change everything. And sometimes I don't think it's like that. It's like an extension of the grass is greener philosophy. Like if you just watered your grass, maybe that wouldn't be the problem. Like maybe if you had more buy volume, you wouldn't notice the contract sells. That's something I've said before. So I don't think a V2 is something that's really, unless we found out for some reason going down the road that there was a major inhibition to a game function that we were working on. Because like I said, we are not a cryptocurrency company. I don't want you to listen to this broadcast and think, oh, I got to go buy Pulley token. That'd be cool if you did, but I want you to play the games, and then the games make you go, oh, damn, I'm going to have to buy this before it blows up. Because just selling the token based on what the token does, I don't think a V2, we need it right now, but who knows? You can't with any certainty say anything. Like, I don't know, maybe Solana stops crashing and stuff like that. And we want to do something on a Solana gaming blockchain. So maybe we need not a V2, but what if we needed like a Pulley Solana or, a wrapped Pulley? Like it's a crazy world out there. So I don't want to say yes or no on any of that. We could do crazy stuff, crazy things.
That was going to be my next question. If you guys were going to be bridging to any other blockchains, sure. And would that be in the case, it would be really easy to eliminate the contract sales having a bridge to those other chains as well.
It feels like every time we have a conversation about what chain to bridge to, what I'm actually getting is people shilling their bags to me. You ever feel like that? Where they're like, oh, we can go to the Crow chain. It's like, why should we go to Crow? It's like, because I have 175,000 Crow. And it's like, oh, well, damn, that makes sense. Or you should go to Phantom or switch to Polygon. I don't know, man. I always ask when people say that. I'm funny about this is I'm a pessimistic optimist a lot of the time. I always ask people, how much volume do you really do over there? Like, come on, be real, man. Like BSC and Ethereum are still 95% of where people are going to land. Right. And I know that you think these alt chains are cool, but they're only cool to you because you've been doing this for so long that you're like the hipster, like, oh, I'm not into that stuff. Oh, layer ones are so lame. You get to this point where you're too cool for that and you start thinking about it. And what I've encouraged people, this is not Pulley, this is in other projects, but I guess it works for Pulley. Man, go start your own pool. Go start it. Go do it. I've told people, go start your own liquidity somewhere if you want to do that. Like I'm all for the DeFi and DeFi. So if you wanted to take something like that, if you wanted to get a whale bag and, go bridge it somewhere, go for it. But I don't know where we're going to end up next because that debate comes up cyclically. Like what's that? Every like 3 weeks, probably we have a talk about, where should we go? And I'm always the negative one. I always feel I play bad cop a lot at Pulley. So I don't know.
Right. So obviously it's always good to have options, but you're absolutely right. It looks like in today's market, everybody's just looking to do it for the reason of just getting more hype behind the project.
Sure.
Doing the bridge. There's not really a utility behind it.
I thought it was going to be Solana, but they cannot stay on their feet.
Right. They've had a tough go at it, right?
Right. That's where I was looking. I mean, I personally, when people were having those conversations with me, but lately I've been upended. Like, I just don't know where to go because after the last 2 times they had those network shutdowns, I know that I know a couple of people played like Star Atlas and some stuff over there. And it's unbearable to see what happens to people that are on that chain. So I don't know where to go. Like it's the devil you know and the devil you don't, right? Because people, like I've said, people think the BSC chain is so bad. But man, it's what we know.
To be fair, it's tried and true, just like Ethereum, right?
Yes.
They are tried and true blockchains. If you are looking for a new one in the future, if you'll wait till the first quarter of this next year, Blockstar will be making live its blockchain. So if you're looking for somebody to not necessarily try out, but use that doesn't have the
Sure.
security, but is also a layer one, then we'd love to talk to you guys in the future as well about that. Um, Back to the NFTs just real quick, just so I can wrap my head around it. The proceeds that you take in from the NFT, does any of that go back to volume on the contract, or does that go to development for the team, for the game? Give me
Great
a little bit
question.
about that.
No, and this one, because I don't think that's actually listed on the website, I'm going to be less accurate and more vague about. But
Sure.
the NFT sales play a huge function in keeping the team funded, and that is a crucial reason that those need to be sold out as quickly as possible, because that's part of the function of volume. And that was frankly something that I would have wanted to have sold out a lot faster. I'm not saying anything that other people probably don't feel in that one, because with 2,000 NFTs, I think we've all seen collections sell out faster. But I really do think that if we did a post-mortem of why it didn't sell out, because I'm not like an NFT community expert, I'm a crypto guy, but I'm not an NFT expert. But the momentum it was going to take to get, like I said, a BSC community to sell out an Ethereum mint, I just don't think we had the juice, because the type of investors we had couldn't, swing to ETH and then buy that much ETH. And at the time, gas fees were mid-ground. They were nominal, but you were paying 40 to 60 bucks so you're paying 250, 280 bucks to buy an NFT at a certain point. And there were just people that are not sure. And then, to be fair, I'll play devil's advocate. How long are you going to have to play PULI Runner to make that money back? No one knew. No one knows that, and no one knew that answer, at least at that point in time. And now that the in-game mechanics are up and running, at least you can project out your return on investment if you were to play. But a lot of the functions that were promised, like we're trying to get to a point where we can rent NFTs. Let's say you buy 5 PULI Runners today because you think they're cool. You will eventually be able to rent your NFTs to someone who doesn't want to buy them, because maybe they want to play the game ad free to test it out. So maybe this week they pay $5.99, and through a peer-to-peer rental network, they can log in with your NFT for a short period of time, and you're making the residual income by owning those multiple NFTs. That was cool. But how many people, like I said, were really in the project for that long? I don't think we had the right crowd to mint all those NFTs. And I think that's been the focus, is we got to get those NFTs minted out, because honestly, that development money is something that goes back to the game developers. And I want to be able to get that Pulley Degens. I've been telling people Pulley Degens is my Christmas present. I want that to be ready when there's snow on the ground and tinsel on the tree, because I think that would just be too cool to roll something out right around Christmas time. So I want the NFT sales to be able to finally fund the development of the rest of the projects.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you're offering other things like this rental program and everything, I think as people see that taking off and more people getting involved in that and actually renting these, it's
Yep.
almost like going to the video store, which we don't do anymore. We just do everything streaming now. But it used to be kind of like the same thing. You would go rent the game, have it for a couple days, and then you
Yes.
would just return it. So
Miss that so much.
right. So I kind of like the nostalgia feel behind that. So I think it's a good concept, and it gives another utility to the NFT, where people, maybe they're not using it for the next month, they're going on vacation. Why not rent them all out? When you come back, you got a little bit more money to throw back into the Pulley token, right?
Sure. Or what if you bought one because your 7-year-old kid wanted one, and she's 9 or 11 now, and she's forgotten about the app, but you don't want to sell it yet?
Right, absolutely. So you're looking long term. So I think adding more utility may help you guys actually sell out of those fairly quickly as they're gaining more traction and more utility behind them. So I
Yeah,
commend you guys.
when a couple of people post their payout receipts from their first rentals and stuff, you're going to see some FOMO.
Sure, absolutely. What is the size of your community now? I mean, as far as like downloads for the game compared to some of your other groups and everything, kind of give me just kind of the quick numbers on that. How many downloads?
I'd have to follow up. The last time I asked that question was probably 2 weeks ago. I know it's well over 1,000 on, what was it? It was like 1,200 on Android and like another 900 on Apple. But if it was 2,500 or 5,000, we would have celebrated with like graphics and stuff. So I don't think we did a 2,500 graphics yet. But now that you've asked, I'll follow up, because we usually try and celebrate milestones like that.
Awesome. And you're also, since you've had an AMA with us, you're always welcome to come back to the Blockstar official group and post in our chat any updates or anything. And we'll be happy to post those things on our timeline as well. So any updates going forward from this time going forward, if you guys have major updates or something new coming to the project, always feel free to come back and post this directly in the Blockstar group so we can keep up with what's going on with inside of the Pulley ecosystem, because we enjoy having those projects be able to come back and see where they were and see where they're going and where they're at that point as well. So with all that said, I want to give you the opportunity to kind of have the last word before I finish up here. For any potential investors out there or anybody looking to download the game, you get the final word. What do you want to say to those guys?
Well, I would say that even if you didn't listen to the rest of everything we've said up to this point, I think that if you are the kind of person who is into having a little fun, playing games, maybe killing some time when you're stuck somewhere waiting in a lobby or sitting in your office waiting on a meeting to end or something like that, and you'd be willing to fire up one of these games, it would give you a glimpse, at least PULI Runner would, of where this company goes. And I say company because it's not PULI Token, it's PULI Web3 Game Studios. I'm trying to make this monumental shift, like I said, to getting people to understand that the game development is the long-term play here. So if you wondered what GameFi means when you see that hashtag, it means PULI. If you wonder what play to earn means when you see hashtag P2E, it means PULI. If you wonder what it means to have a company that actually values the time you spend on their application in a way that they meaningfully pay you back and show that respect, that's PULI. So go to pulitoken.net to read more about the project and mint.pulitoken.net to read more about the NFTs. My name is Shane. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for PULI, and I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming to Blockstar.
Hey, we appreciate that, Shane. And just one last question from the Blockstar community. At what point at the end of this or during this process of the PULI ecosystem does this project become a success to you?
I've actually benchmarked some of that as game download numbers. Like, I cannot wait to hit 10,000 downloads on Runner. I think that's going to be a huge thing, but I don't know if that means we're a success or not. One of the other things I've thought about is I can't wait until we can get maybe a VC contract and actually tell a few people that they can go quit their jobs and focus on these games. I think being able to give one of our game developers, a 6-month stipend would be something I measured as a success. It's funny that you bring that up, because in my real life, I'm actually a personal trainer, and goal setting is absolutely everything. So that's something I've spent a lot of time thinking about. That's a great question. I'm never going to be happy is the answer, because that's my mindset. So I have milestones, but I don't know if I'm ever going to consider anything a success, because I've never allowed myself to do that. I'll stop and recognize it when someone hands me a trophy or an award, and I'll tell everybody that helped me get there, thank you. But I don't know if I can be satisfied. So good question.
Well, being satisfied and being successful, I think everybody can agree are kind of two different things. So even being successful, that person is never going to be satisfied at that point, and that's what makes them successful. So I think that's a pretty good answer. So you guys heard it here first, guys. We had a look at PULI ecosystem today. I encourage you guys to go check out their NFT mints. Go check out their official group over here on Blockstar. Show them some love. Thank you guys for joining us today. We'll see you guys in another AMA. We have one coming up tomorrow to be the Blockstar AMA Weekly podcast. Get to hear some insights about the Blockstar ecosystem, and then we have some guest speakers tomorrow as well. So thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you guys next time.